I got somebody really attacking me right now. I mean, really going after me, man. I'm just waiting to see what God gonna do.
Steve Harvey just poked the wrong beehive, and now it's buzzing loud. The moment he tried to check Katt Williams and Lil Boosie, both of them came swinging right back, raw, unfiltered, and in front of the entire world.
It felt like it was genuine. There are some people who have given, my dad his flowers now that he's dead, that I'm looking at like, doggone well, he wasn't doing it when he was alive. And that, not just famous people, just people.
What started off as a few slick jabs turned into an all-out war of words that nobody saw coming. This wasn't some cute Family Feud TV segment. It was real. Katt and Boosie didn't just clap back. They exposed the cracks behind the polished smiles and Hollywood charm.
And you asked it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing. You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say. After Bernie left, them same three guys I'm telling you about, the Kings, they came to me. I was supposed to be the fourth king. I got the offer.
Then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie. And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? Fuck you. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it because you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest. Period. Every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out.
They dragged out the truth behind the egos, the power games, and the so-called respect that's all smoke and mirrors in the industry. It was comedy clashing with street energy, legend versus rebellion. And Steve, he didn't look ready for what came next. Katt Williams, known for never holding his tongue, teamed up with Boosie, who's all about keeping it real. And together, they made Steve blink first. It all kicked off when Steve started throwing what fans called verbal threats. Not in the streets, not with fists, but with words. On his show, during interviews, and even on stage, he took slick shots at certain comedians and rappers, saying if anyone came at him sideways, he'd handle it like a man. Man, everybody already knew who Steve was throwing shade at: Katt Williams and Lil Boosie. For months, Katt had been lighting up the internet, dragging fake Hollywood types left and right. He'd roasted Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and yeah, Steve Harvey too. Anybody he thought was playing puppet for the industry got called out.
I didn't know nothing about this concept. When the promoter told me about it in October, I shot it down, because that ain't how I've ever promoted a show. I've always been on tour with some real monsters, man. I toured with the Kings. I've been on stage with Sid, DL, and Bernie Mac at the same time. It's always been a camaraderie. Right. You know what I mean? We're going out here to give the people the best show we can give them. And that's the way we've always promoted comedy shows. Now, to turn this into some type of little beef, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That ain't how.
So when Steve finally clapped back, people knew it wasn't gonna end pretty. This was a straight-up war in motion. And if there's one thing about Katt Williams, it's that he don't bite his tongue for nobody. He's never feared a suit, a network, or a big-time name. Like he once said, "I ain't in Hollywood. I'm in the truth business." So when Steve dropped that slick line about knocking out comedians who talk reckless, Katt didn't take that lightly. He took it personally. Katt fired back fast, going live to call him out. He said, "Steve, you too old to be threatening folks."
Man, I ain't got nothing to say about the Katt Williams situation. I don't know about nothing about that. I know he a real nigga to me. Like I say, bro, I came home, I ain't had nothing, man. Invited me to his concert. Got me front row seat. When I was leaving, gave me $15,000. That's real. Everybody else was screaming my name, all kind of celebrity. They ain't even give me a speak. They ain't even speak to me when I came. That man gave me $15,000. I ain't even know him, bro. That's all I can say. 9 minute celebrities was hollering free Boosie. I saw him, they ain't even spit. acknowledge me and give me $15,000. Doing that. He did that from the heart, man. He knew what I had been through, bro. Man knew what I had been through, bro. I'll never forget that. When I see him, I'm definitely gonna bless him, bro. And I keep 15, 20 in my pocket at all the time.
Ain't you supposed to be wise, not wild? Don't talk about knocking me out when you couldn't even stand up to your own barber. The internet lost its mind. Memes were flying, clips were trending, people couldn't get enough. Then, just when things couldn't get any hotter, Lil Boosie jumped into the ring. He wasn't about to let Steve slide on this one. Boosie and Katt go way back. Real recognized real, and they've always had that rare bond. Two unfiltered voices who speak their truth, no matter who it offends.
Don't want no parts of this in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is some other shit. I don't know why he came out here with all this money y'all spent on them motherfucking tickets and talked about a lady in the audience for 15 goddamn minutes. That nigga should have talked about me the way I've been to talk about his bitch man.
So Boosie went live and dropped bombs too. Steve Harvey don't scare nobody, he said. He's a talk show host, man. He ain't cut like that. You out here threatening comedians and rappers cause you mad folks see through the act. You Hollywood now, bro. We real ones. You can't threaten what's real. And just like that, it turned into Boosie and Katt versus Steve Harvey, living raw for the entire internet to witness.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the hottest young comedians in the country today. I'm telling you, he got my stamp. This cat is hot. Please put your hands together for Katt Williams.
But hold up, this feud didn't just pop out of nowhere. There's deep history here, years of tension simmering beneath the surface. Katt Williams has been calling out Steve for a long time. He's accused him of selling out, stealing jokes, and pretending to be a mentor while secretly blocking other comedians from getting their shine.
Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore.
Back in 2018, Katt said in an interview, "Steve Harvey's the type who'll shake your hand and steal your punchline." The crowd laughed, but Katt wasn't joking. He's always seen himself as the truth teller, the real deal who speaks for the people, not the system. Steve, on the other hand, built his brand as the clean, polished, network-approved comedian, corporate safe, family-friendly, and Hollywood-ready. That's where the clash always lived. Authentic street comedy versus boardroom-approved laughter. And when you toss Boosie into that mix, man, that's like throwing gasoline on a lit match. Boosie don't do Hollywood politics. He's not about kissing up to producers or keeping quiet to stay booked. He says what others are too scared to admit, and that's exactly why his words hit different. Meanwhile, Steve's been on TV giving life advice, relationship tips, and motivational speeches like he's the new Dr. Phil for Black America. But Boosie wasn't feeling that at all. He went off saying, "Steve Harvey be talking about how to keep a woman like he ain't been divorced, bro. Stop acting like a pastor and just be real with folks."
Sometimes the oppositions come from the most unsuspecting places. Sometimes, man, you're gonna get blindsided. But you gotta understand how the devil works, man. The devil is evil. He don't fight fair. This thing in life, that's not fair what they saying about me. That's not fair what they doing about me. And it wasn't fair how they did Jesus, but they did it anyway. You are not going to get away through this thing called life without opposition. But let me say this though. Be careful when you hear something that's laid out to be the truth. And because the person that's telling you what they say is true is speaking eloquently, don't be deceived by that. There are some people who know how to lie so well. They know how to sprinkle in just enough truth and wrap it inside their lies where they got you thinking that somebody telling the truth. Beware of that, people. You can't be righteous and negative at the same.
The crowd online went wild. It wasn't just shade anymore, it was a full-on call-out. Tired of fake wisdom and TV sermons, Boosie and Katt weren't holding back anymore. But when Steve caught wind of what Boosie said, he took it as straight-up disrespect. And that's when he dropped the line that blew the whole thing wide open. He said, "If these little dudes keep my name in they mouth, I might have to teach them how grown men handle things." Now, to the average listener, that might sound like a slick comeback. But to Boosie and Katt, that sounded like a threat. That's when everything exploded into chaos, literally.
Art is a Kings of Comedy idea. It was the Def Comedy Jam reunion idea that I had initially.
Okay.
And I called a friend, Stan Layton, in LA, who was the director of all of Def Comedy Jams. He co-managed some of the talent. So I figured he could help me get Martin and bigger people like that at that time.
Right.
And we tried that for like a month or two, and he could never come up with anything. And that's when I was at my son's football practice one day on the phone, like I was always on the phone, sitting in the bleachers, and that name just kept nagging at me.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
So I always could count on Bernie to do what he does. So I called him first, called his people first.
Gotcha.
He was like into it immediately because at that time, if you read his book, he was kind of at a crossroads with his career. He didn't know what was going to go on with his career. And I called Cedric because I was doing all of Cedric's dates up to that point.
Gotcha.
I was his promoter.
Okay.
And I called Steve because I saw him on a HBO special. I had never seen him do comedy.
Oh, wow.
Saw him on an HBO special with his yellow suit. And I was like, hey, he could be a good addition.
Right.
And so I called him last.
Okay.
But I had the other two, got him.
That's right, because D.L. Hughley
Yeah,
was
it was
not.
one person.
Okay, got it.
A lot of people don't know that. So.
Right.
That Bernie said in the GQ article that when he got Ocean's 11, Steve had reached out to the producers and said he thought he would be a better fit and tried to get the part.
Both of them went live at the same time, and what followed felt like a movie. Boosie was in his car, smoking, talking raw and unfiltered. He started it off with, "Steve, stop capping, man. You ain't no street dude, you a TV man. You ain't about to handle nothing but a camera. Talking about knocking folks out? You better knock out them weak jokes instead." The comment section was going insane. Then Katt Williams slid in from another city, calm, sharp, and surgical with his words. He spoke low, almost like a whisper, but every word cut deep. "Brother Steve," he said, "you too old to be fighting people who never disrespected you. I called you out because you fake, not because I hate. There's a difference." He paused, stared straight into the camera, and dropped the mic moment of the night. "You can't knock me out, Steve. Not in comedy, not in life, not even in spirit. So stop swinging for headlines." The live went nuclear. Hearts were flying, comments flooding in, fans choosing sides. Even though Steve never joined the live, clips of it spread everywhere like wildfire. People online were asking, is Steve Harvey really out here threatening people? Others wondered, why's Katt always calling folks fake? Boosie just said what everybody had been thinking, and now the whole internet was buzzing. Other comedians started jumping in too. Some defended Steve, saying he's an OG who's earned his stripes and deserves respect. But others sided with Katt and Boosie, saying they were just saying what everyone else was too scared to admit out loud. And here's where things got deeper. It wasn't just about words anymore. It became about control. Steve's got power, connections, networks, TV platforms. But Katt and Boosie, they've got the people, the streets, the raw culture, the real audience. This wasn't just comedy beef anymore. This was a battle over who really speaks for the people, the polished preacher or the unfiltered truth teller. That's why when Steve made that knock you out comment, it hit like a bomb. This wasn't just some petty trash talk. It was a symbol, a clash between old school Hollywood and the new wave of raw authenticity. Steve Harvey represents that old guard, the generation that believes in gatekeeping, keeping things respectable, and protecting the image of the industry. But Katt Williams and Lil Boosie, they're the rebellion, the rule breakers, the ones who say what others won't and expose the fake smiles behind the lights. When those two worlds collided, it got ugly because Steve's whole image depends on being respected, while Katt and Boosie's power comes from being real. So when the real called out the respected, somebody's image started to crack. Clips of Steve looking tense on his radio show went viral overnight. Fans were saying Steve looks nervous and he sounds guilty. Meanwhile, Boosie and Katt were trending like crazy on Twitter. The fans crowned them the Truth Squad. One tweet said, "Boosie and Katt just tag-teamed Steve Harvey. This is culture versus corporation." Another read, "Steve Harvey talks too much about God to be out here threatening folks." And that's when the whole vibe shifted. For years, Steve built his name as the wise voice, the calm, father figure type who gives advice and preaches success with a smile. But now, the same fans who once praised him were starting to question the act. They were asking, is Steve really humble or just hiding his pride behind that suit? Then Boosie came back days later and threw more fuel on the fire. He said, "Ain't no man gonna threaten me and get away with it. I don't care who you are, comedian, preacher, president. You say my name, I'm responding, and I stand on that." But then he said something that really shook fans up, something that made this whole feud go from entertainment to personal fast. These TV dudes think they untouchable because they on camera every day, but we the ones people really listen to, that line right there, that's the heart of this whole feud, because this ain't just Steve versus Katt and Boosie. This is authenticity versus image. It's about who really owns the mic, the one with the stage or the one with the truth. Katt Williams stayed cool through it all, but his words hit like precision strikes. He said, "I don't fight men who wear makeup on camera. I fight hypocrisy." The internet erupted. Comments were flooding in, fire emojis everywhere, fans shouting, "He ain't lying!" Katt wasn't just throwing shade, he was speaking from scars earned over years in an industry that never gave him his flowers. Then he dropped another bomb. "Steve Harvey once told me I'd never last in Hollywood because I was too honest. Guess what? I'm still here, and I didn't have to sell my soul to stay." That line shook the culture to its core, because deep down, everybody knows. Katt might not have Hollywood's approval, but he's got something more powerful, the people's respect. By the end of the week, the story was everywhere. Blogs, gossip channels, and radio shows couldn't stop talking about it. Everyone wanted to know, was Steve Harvey really done or just ducking the smoke? Steve didn't say much publicly, but insiders close to him claimed he was disappointed and didn't want to engage in childish nonsense. But fans weren't buying it. Because if Steve truly had that OG confidence he always preaches, wouldn't he face Katt and Boosie head on? Instead, his silence spoke louder than words, and the internet took it as defeat. Memes exploded across social media. Steve's face got photoshopped with boxing gloves, Katt's picture had the caption, "Still undefeated," and Boosie's quote, "The streets talking," was plastered over microphones everywhere. It wasn't just beef anymore. It was a moment, a cultural earthquake where two unfiltered voices checked the system in real time. And let's keep it real. Love them or hate them, all three of these men are legends in their own right. But this clash showed one thing clear as day. Fame might buy you airtime, but truth? Truth buys you loyalty, and that's something no network can script. Steve paved the way, Katt spoke the truth, and Boosie, he spoke for the people. But when ego steps into the room, nobody walks out clean. Even DL Hughley jumped in on a podcast saying, "This is what happens when grown men stop communicating and start performing." He wasn't wrong, but fans didn't care about peace. They wanted fireworks, they wanted raw energy, they wanted the truth, and Boosie and Katt gave them all of it. So what happens next? Maybe Steve claps back, maybe he lets it fade, or maybe they all meet behind the scenes and settle it like men. But one thing's for sure, this whole saga revealed something powerful. People are done with fake wisdom. They don't want rehearsed speeches or filtered advice. They want real voices that actually live what they talk about. They want truth, not talk show preaching, energy, not ego. And that's exactly what Katt and Boosie brought. By the time the dust settled, the internet had already crowned them the winners, not because they screamed the loudest, but because they stood firm and fearless. Boosie summed it up perfectly when he said, "You can't threaten what's real. You can only expose yourself trying." And man, that line hit deep. Steve Harvey tried to flex his authority, but it backfired hard. Because this new generation, they're not bowing to polished power anymore. They're standing with the ones who keep it raw and uncut. The streets, the fans, the culture, they all rallied behind the truth tellers. So yeah, Steve Harvey might have thrown the first threat, but what he didn't realize is you can't threaten truth. And when you go after two men who built their names on honesty, the world's gonna watch and see exactly who's real and who's rehearsed. Now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Steve out of line for threatening them? Or did Katt and Boosie take it too far by going public? Whatever side you're on, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because this is the kind of buzz and drama where the truth don't hide and the legends never bite their tongue. See you on the next one.